guys, we have a great episode for you today. We are here at Legends Attic for the Kirby Yates event where he'll be on the podcast. And then we have Rick Krajewski, who does research and stats for the Dodgers. And then we're back with our good friend Orel Hershiser.
This episode is presented by Legends Attic. They have an amazing calendar full of great events. Check out their website, follow them on Instagram to stay in tune. We're going to be at all the events. Can't wait to see you.
And now to the episode. I just want somebody to talk Dodgers to me. Talk Dodgers to me. Loved hearing Kirby talk about sometimes it throws me off when we had breakfast with Steve Sachs and we're talking to him so much and I want to ask so many questions that I want to save for the podcast.
I know.
So even today when we're sitting at breakfast with Orel and Rick, it's my questions are going in my head, but we can't ask them yet.
I know. You have to save it. I know. But it's the most organic time, right? Is when it's natural and you're just kind of chit-chatting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But even hearing Kirby talk about, I know we talked about it with him on the podcast, but when he was mentioning the exhibition games and how their walk-up songs were instruments. How cool is that? Imagine if they did that in the States.
We used to have Nancy B, who played the organ so much for so many different.
What about the mariachi band? They could do their walk-up songs.
That would be a smart.
Maybe we pitch that to Orel. We'll see what he says. Anyway, welcome back to Talk Dodgers to Me. I am Melissa Meyer, and I'm here with
Jacqueline Ruiz.
And we have a really fun episode today. We are back at Legends Attic for the Kirby Yates event. So Kirby came on, Rick Krajewski. We had our buddy Orel Hershiser.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to talk all things Tokyo, really hear about Kirby's perspective of being new to the Dodgers and being able to experience that with the team. Those were fun stories.
Yeah, I never talked to someone who does research and analytics, so it was really cool to talk to Rick about that.
It was cool to see that side of the game and hear what his job entails.
I know. And then a masterclass from Orel Hershiser, as usual. I mean, I just want to go and throw a baseball right now.
I mean, we learned so much about grip. I'm I need to put it into practice.
So anyway, maybe that's what we're going to go do while you listen to the episode. Talk Dodgers to me. Talk Dodgers to me.
I think we got games starting tomorrow.
Yeah. That's so crazy, too.
I think I'm pitching.
Actually, we were at spring training. We saw you.
Okay, cool.
All right. Oh. Kirby Yates, welcome to Talk Dodgers to Me.
Appreciate you guys having me.
So we all just got back from Tokyo. We got back yesterday, so I don't know about you, Jack, but I'm feeling it a little bit. But I'm so excited to hear from you what your experience was there, your first major experience with the Dodgers, and as Shohei's teammate.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's I think you see it on the other side how he can kind of move the needle. I think when you're put on that uniform and you're part of it, you kind of realize that it's significantly different than anything else you've experienced, and it's very, very cool.
I mean, Shohei is on every billboard. He's repping tea, spaghetti, watches, Hugo Boss. As a fan, I don't think I realized it.
Don't forget the rice balls.
We were curious. We're I wonder if the guys are just roasting him.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anybody gives him a hard time about it, but I think everybody is just more this is impressive and it's kind of neat. And for me personally, I love the rice balls, so I was crushing them.
All right, you got to tell us a little bit about the players-only dinner. How
it was cool. I think everybody saw the picture of the fish that they cut up, which was pretty neat. I mean, I've seen my dad owned a restaurant for years in Hawaii when I was growing up, so I've seen some pretty big, ahis, and I have never seen one that big. That was a pretty significant, cool fish. Him, Yama, and Roki, they absolutely nailed it. It was, it's kind of one of those experiences I think everybody, is thankful for and will remember for a very, very long time. And it's just something that you're thrilled to kind of be a part of.
Absolutely. I mean, we watched our team last year, World Series champs, and what our team chemistry was. And I can only imagine the team going to Japan, experiencing this with Shohei. It must have just bonded you. And going into the season that way, I mean, I can't imagine it to be any better.
Yeah. Did you feel that? Did you feel that it really kind of brought it full circle for the teammates?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they really this is a tight-knit group as it is already, right? Like, they've been through it. They know what they're doing. So it's, they've kind of welcomed me and a couple other guys with open arms. And just it's a very, very good clubhouse and fun to kind of be a part of. I think it's loose, focused when you need to be focused, and a lot of fun.
Yeah. But I could imagine going into this season, there's so much pressure to perform again. I mean, obviously everyone's already predicted another title. And, but yeah, as an athlete going into that, how do you prepare to know that obviously that's the goal?
Yeah, it's obviously you have the noise around you or whatever you want to call it. But I think for the most part, I think everybody kind of understands when it's a new year, like the amount of pressure that everybody else puts on you doesn't matter because it's what you put on yourself and kind of how you can transition that into the season. I mean, you don't try and do anything more than you're capable of or anything you've done in the past. You just kind of go out there, get in your routine, and, the results should come. And based on, how you prepare and what you've done in the past, and just kind of do the same thing.
Do you as players block out that noise from the media, or does sometimes the noise help fire you up?
I think everybody's different. I think some guys pay attention to the noise and they like it and they enjoy it. Other guys don't. I don't like to know. I kind of try and stay away from it and just kind of get into your own vibe or whatever you want to call it, But I think everybody's different. Everybody handles it in their own unique way.
Yeah. How is it being back from Texas now? I mean, you grew up by the ocean and now you're kind of a little bit more in a Cali vibe.
Yeah, it's nice. It's cool.
I just moved back from Texas. I was in San Antonio for a while. I had just moved to Dallas. So
okay.
Yeah.
I like Texas. I thought living in Texas was neat. It's a very easy place to live. I think being on the West Coast now, it's closer to my home. It's easier for family to get here. And that makes, as I'm getting older, kids are getting older, parents are getting older, everybody, so it makes it easier for them to travel and come see me, and I can see everybody a lot more, which is nice for me. And, being able to see the water, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Definitely. I loved hearing that your family are Dodger fans, your parents, your grandparents.
Yeah.
So how excited were they when you signed with the Dodgers?
Yeah, they were pretty excited. I also think that, everybody back home on Kauai is, they have not stopped talking about this.
Oh,
so
that's amazing.
there is a lot of Dodger fans that are across the ocean that are pumped.
That's amazing.
I love to hear it. All right, so lowest ERA last season. It seemed like the Dodgers had their eye on you for quite a while, and maybe you were playing a little hard to get. What was it about their pursuit of you that made you want to join the team?
For one, I mean, they were persistent in their pursuit. They contacted me very early in free agency. Free agency, you kind of always want to survey the market and see really what's out there. And truthfully, it just came back that there was no reason why to go anywhere else. They were persistent, and like I said, from early on, and then at the end, it's like, all right, well, this makes way too much sense, so let's rock.
That's great.
I love to hear it. How do you feel about going into 2025 season as a Los Angeles Dodger?
I think it's good. I mean, I think, this is kind of one of those teams, especially kind of in this time frame of where the Dodgers at, that this is something that you want to be a part of, that you hope that you can get to be a part of, and it should be an amazing season. And I think I'm looking forward to it, and I think everybody else is too.
We saw you at spring training, and you had a great outing that day, but you also had an even better debut for the Dodgers in Tokyo.
I know 2Ks back and back.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Spring training was a little rocky. but that's kind of what spring's for. Sometimes you got new thoughts in your head that you're kind of, I don't want to say you're experimenting, you're more trying out. And so I went through some mechanical things, but now we're back and I feel like I'm in a very, very good place. And, I like where I'm at. I like the way the ball's coming out in Tokyo. And, I think we can ride this out for another 7 months and we'll be all right.
That's so exciting.
I mean, we can't wait to watch you.
Yeah, we cannot wait. This is going to be such a fun season.
Yeah, it is.
So just a couple last questions for you before you go and sign some autographs. We were talking to you right before, and you mentioned the exhibition games and how you could really sense the fan culture in Japan and how everybody are such huge Dodger fans. What was that like?
It's awesome. I mean, Japan was so cool. Tokyo was great. There's a lot of Dodger fans there. I think the neat part was playing the exhibition games of the Japanese teams and seeing how their fans react to their own teams, how they're quiet when they pitch, and when their team comes to bat, they have their drums and everything, and they make their noise. And I thought that was pretty neat because it's just different than our game, right? And they have their own culture. And,
so your guys' up to bat songs are playing, and their up to bats are the drums.
Yeah.
Did you guys still use your up to bat songs?
Yeah, I think they were playing walkout songs. But it was, they have their way of doing it. Like they're banging and they're chanting and they're doing everything, and they're really loud when they hit and then super quiet when they pitch, which I thought it's pretty crazy.
Are you excited to be a dog?
Yeah, I guess that's what we're calling us. They kind of walked into
That's
this.
what you were last season.
We're all dogs, so I can be a dog.
My last question for you. It was interesting hearing that Alex Vesia has quite a pregame routine of drinking an insane amount of Red Bulls. Do you have anything like that?
No, I'm like kind of the opposite, where I almost try to conserve my energy and my caffeine intake. Like I will, progress throughout the games, the first few innings, where I kind of bean up through the first few innings, just so I'm not having, I don't want to be wired all day because then I get pretty tired. Yeah.
I mean, I guess now I understand why Alex Vesia is like that, but honestly, I love it about him.
Yeah, that's him. I mean, and it works. So whatever works for him, and he's fun to be around. So it's good.
We had his wife on the podcast last season.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that was fun for us.
We have a couple more minutes with Kirby, so I'm going to take an opportunity to ask a question.
Oh,
all right?
Adam,
I've got
is a
two.
Cubs fan.
I got two. Kirby, you've been, pardon me if this is an offensive phrase, but a journeyman in the league. And what does it take to kind of bounce around as much as you have going from team to team? How do you acclimate to a new team? What are some of the steps that you kind of go through of coming into a new clubhouse and a new organization? And how is it, I guess, different for the Dodgers?
There's two things that are different for me doing this now. Like I've done this probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 times now, where you walk into a new clubhouse. So it's I know exactly what to expect. I think the difference between now walking into a Dodgers is I've played against these guys for a long time. Like I know some of them, and it's just like an easy transition just because it's like, hey, what's up? You're on our side now. It's like, hey, yeah, appreciate it. Like it's been a seamless transition. I think the hardest thing for me is names. Learning staff members' names, clubhouse attendants' names, and all of that. It's not necessarily teammates. It's like everybody else that you work with. That's the toughest part about changing clubhouses every year.
Yeah. And then piggybacking off of that question, do you share secrets with your new teammates? Like, do your teammates go, does Kike Hernandez, does Freddie Freeman go, hey, do you know how to get me out? And what is something like, do you share inside baseball stuff?
I don't think anybody knows how to get Freddie out. I mean, for me, that's like probably the toughest out there is. But I mean, yeah, you talk to them, you ask them like, what do they see and stuff. But like, it's kind of, you already kind of have a feeling of the answer and what it's going to be, Yeah. I've asked, had enough guys that I've faced that I've asked them questions about. And, I don't think hitters ever ask you anything because they're trying to get a ball over the plate and hit it hard. And they'll never give you credit that you get them out, right? Like they got to keep their edge up, and that's just kind of the way it is.
Yeah. Cool. Ladies,
One
do you have
more
any other
for you.
questions?
I know Blake Snell has been very vocal about how excited he was to be Kirsch's teammate.
Yeah.
Anyone you were really excited to be on the same team with?
I think I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, I had Kurt, what was it, 3 years ago when I was with the Braves. We came here, and I didn't know how my career was going to play out at that point. You know, I was coming off surgeries and stuff like that. And I had Kurt sign a jersey for me, and I thought that was pretty cool. And so now I have it, and I'm still playing, and he's on my team. It's pretty neat for me.
I love to hear that. Kirsch is why I'm a Dodger fan. So anytime a player is, talking positive things about him, I love hearing it.
Yeah, he's so special to our city.
Mm-hmm.
He's been here through it all.
And I was so glad to see that he went with you guys to Tokyo.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's great to have him around, I mean, look, I think this is 17th year with one team. So, I mean, that's a long time. Seen a lot. It's great to have a guy like that in the clubhouse.
Love it. Well, love to have you on today, and we wish you the best this season.
Appreciate it.
Go
Thank
Dodgers.
you.
Dojaju. We learned how to say it in Japan. Thanks,
Awesome.
Kirby.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you.
Talk Dodgers to me. And we're back. And we have a special guest today, Rick Krajewski.
Yep.
Who does stats and research for the Dodgers, right?
Yep, correct.
Thanks so much for coming on Talk Dodgers to me.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm so curious about your job. Can you just give us a little of like what your day-to-day is?
Sure. So I'm kind of tasked with preparing our TV and radio broadcasts for the upcoming game and series. So on any given day, I'm researching either our upcoming opponent or the team we're playing on that given day. Just giving them notes, things we can build graphics on for our broadcast, just kind of give an overview of what our team's doing and then what the team we're playing is doing, things to keep focus on, pitching matchups, really anything, just to kind of give our announcers so they don't have to spend their entire day breaking down numbers and doing their own analyzing. So
Wow.
it's a lot, but I personally enjoy it. I don't know if people enjoy reading my stuff, but yeah, I try to make sure our announcers are prepared as possible for the broadcast.
It's so amazing because when you got this job and you kind of didn't even know what the job was. And did you kind of just create it and make it your own?
Yeah, so there was somebody who was doing it before me for the Dodgers, and so kind of go back in time, like you said, when Joe initially called me just to do his stuff with Fox Sports, I didn't even know this position existed. I just assumed when an announcer talks, it's because he's done the research and he has those numbers in front of him. I didn't realize there was a guy next to him who puts stuff on cards and prepares notes for them. So when he called me, I was like, I don't know what this job is, but I'll take it if you're offering it. So it was kind of a trial basis at that point, and then the Dodger job opened up, and like you said, I've kind of made it my own in terms of it used to just be show up to the games, provide them notes, kind of trends during the game. And now it's that as well as, research and kind of the preparation aspect of it as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
And you have a history with Joe Davis.
I do, yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
So Joe is a year younger than I am, but we met in college. I was a sophomore, he was a freshman. Eventually ended up in the same fraternity. We've been pretty close friends since then. But yeah, I consider him like a brother. I don't have any brothers, but I consider him a brother of mine. And we kind of went our separate ways when we graduated. I got a job in Milwaukee. He bounced around doing the minor league baseball thing. But when he called me, I jumped at the chance to work with him. I mean, like I was telling you before, I get to work with my best friends every day. So it's pretty cool.
All right, now you've called Joe Davis and Orel Hershiser your best friend. So who is it?
Oh, boy. Depends who's listening to this. Both of them, I guess.
Wait a second. You're so close. I have posited that Joe Davis is AI. You're telling me he's not AI?
He is very real. He is one of the most disciplined and hardworking people I've ever been around. So if he comes off as this perfect AI person, it's because he works hard enough to where it appears that way. But yeah.
That was a running joke with us last season that Adam thought Joe Davis was AI. So we have full confirmation that he is not.
It's very real, yeah. Very real.
And you were a pitcher.
I was, yeah. So that's part of the reason when he called me initially and said, I think you'd be good at this, was because he was a football player in college. I was a pitcher on the baseball team. So he's like, I think you obviously know the game and are naturally kind of gravitate towards stats and all that kind of stuff. So he had an inkling that I'd be decent at it, and hopefully I'm decent at it. But yeah, I think that's kind of the background that helps me, especially with working with Orel and breaking down some of the pitching stuff, is like I kind of lived that. I wasn't nearly as good, obviously, but I pitched. So.
That's so cool. And we're here at the Kirby Yates event, and when I was doing prep for us having Kirby on, he played with Brandon Gomes.
Yep.
And Brandon Gomes had been, wanting to get him on the Dodgers for a while. So it's good to have some friends in sports that think of you when a job comes a-calling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worked out pretty well for me, if we're being honest. Yeah.
And how long have you worked for the Dodgers?
First year was 18. So what this will be my 8th year, I think. I should know the math on that better. But yeah, I think this is my 8th season.
Were you a fan?
Ooh, that's a tough question. So no, I rooted for the Dodgers beforehand because Joe was there, so support that. They were a good team, but I wouldn't say I was a fan of the Dodgers. Now I very much am a fan of the Dodgers. So I think by like halfway through year 1, I was like, all right, this is my team now.
You did say you hate the Cubs, even though you're from Chicago. We have the biggest Cub fan back here,
It's tough,
so
man. We're gonna have a decent season.
what do you have to say about that, Adam?
It is tough. I know. I live it every day.
So I was from Buffalo originally and moved to Chicago when I was 5 or 6, and for some reason I just revolted against all Chicago teams. So like the Bulls won 6 championships, I was a Pacer fan. Like I just found a way to root against all the Chicago teams. So that's
You
kind of
were
the
that
Cubs
guy.
thing. Yeah.
Well, I revolt against all LA teams.
There you go.
So
You and I.
I'm
But
right
now
there.
he's a Dodger fan, so maybe there's hope.
Yeah, we can change it.
There is not hope.
No?
There is
Okay.
definitely not hope. I've got a question for Rick. I have a nerdy
got?
question for Rick, actually. Statisticians, this big thing in baseball, the Moneyball revolution, 2000s now. It seems like everybody kind of has the same data. What do you see as the future of data and analytics in baseball? How are things going to change in the next? What is the next iteration of analytics in baseball? Is Joe Davis AI going to change? Is AI going to change in baseball in some way?
It's a great question. So I think kind of the Moneyball was early in the process when they were just starting to get that data and who can act on it. Now I think we've almost reached a point where everyone's kind of doing the same thing with it. So I think what the Dodgers are doing is pivoting a little bit of like, hey, everyone has access to this. How are we going to find our niche in, how we utilize this data? So it could be as simple as, Moneyball they're looking at for on-base percentage. Dodgers could be looking at something completely different. So I think the access to it is now more widespread, and now it's a matter of having the right people in the room to break that stuff down. And so I don't know if there's a bigger data analytics department in Major League Baseball than what the Dodgers are working with. And I think that's going to be the big thing is everyone has it. Everyone has these previous notions of how to use it, but who's going to make that next pivot of like, okay, this is the next step and the next phase of it.
Yeah, it's pressing different buttons, right?
Right.
Seeing which combination of factors really works. And
Exactly.
You're also fighting against Theo Epstein and his changes to baseball too, and what adjustments he makes to the game that make it more appealing to fans. I think that's been a big
100%.
big thing.
And I think like the biggest thing now is pitching because of so many injuries. I mean, you saw how many starters the Dodgers used last year. So what would they do? They brought in 2 new starters, some new depth. They have when they're fully healthy, they're going to have 8 or 9 different guys at their disposal. Just knowing that, I'm not saying anybody's going to get hurt, but there's a decent chance someone's going to go on the IL for 15 days, or they can, even if they have that embarrassment of riches, they can space them out, spread them out. So at the end of the day, you just want to be healthy and hitting your stride in October, which I think in some previous iterations it was 112 wins, 100 whatever wins, but we got to the finish line and okay, now we have to continue that in October versus last year, comparatively, what was 98 wins? That was one of their worst seasons, but they got hot at the right time. They had enough pitching to get by. They kind of figured it out. And I think the focus this year is they know they have a very good roster. It's a matter of making sure they're healthy and have the right guys in place in October versus, we're really good and we've won 15 straight games in July.
I mean, going off the pitching injuries, what is analytics showing you that is going to help?
That's a loaded question because I think my position, and I've talked to Orel about this, is that in the minors, in order to get called up, it's chasing velocity, throwing as hard as you can, and that's great, but then you also tend to break down a little bit quicker. And so, I mean, maybe it's just me because I was a soft-throwing left-handed pitcher who couldn't break glass with my fastball, but I gravitate towards soft-throwing. Hyun-Jin Ryu is one of my favorite players. He was a soft-throwing lefty.
I love him.
Tyler Anderson was one of my favorites because, again, didn't have overwhelming stuff, but just you look at the scoreboard, 2 runs in 6 innings, and you get out of there and get the win. So I think there has to be kind of a balance of we want guys throwing 98, 99, but is that going to be effective for them over the course of a 10, 12, 14-year career where, one, the velocity is going to fade, and two, you're setting yourself up for potentially some injuries. So how do they get that velocity but do it in an efficient way where they're not putting their bodies and their arms at risk?
Yeah. We're huge here on like the fan perspective. And I had read that you do send out tweets and stuff, and that with certain things you start seeing notifications coming in. And so do you communicate with the fans a lot?
Not as much anymore. I used to a lot more. I think part of it was just like the time of the day and like the stuff I have to do for prep, so there just wasn't as much. And I try to be less online if possible, which today it's hard to do. But yeah, I mean, I interact with them when they're actually at the stadium, and then occasionally I'll get a tweet across that says like, most of it was someone tweeting at me like, "Hey, can you look this up for me?" Or, "Hey, I noticed this. Is this true?" And so I just try to get back to him as soon as I could, because sometimes it's actually good stuff, and sometimes it's a fan who is thinking something that probably isn't accurate. So
Right.
As a fan of baseball, what players are you excited to watch this season?
I mean, the easy one's Kirby Yates. I love having him in the bullpen. I mean, it's a guy people probably wouldn't pay attention to, but again, the lefty thing, Justin Robleski. The fact that he's Polish and lefty, it's like done deal. He's one of my favorites. So hoping he gets an opportunity at some point. They just sent him down after Japan, but gets an opportunity to come up. I like Snell a lot. I think that's going to be a great addition. I personally think he has a chance to win the Cy Young again here, so that'd be great. And then, I mean, it's easy, but the Shohei, Mookie, those guys, the stuff they do, Freddie, every day, just the consistency is kind of something to marvel at.
Oh my gosh.
How's the back end of Shohei now coming in as a pitcher? How has that changed?
So I'm curious to see, because the thought is that he was so good offensively because it was all he was focusing on. I don't think he's going to steal another 50-plus bases, because that's just asking a lot of somebody, and they probably don't want to risk the injury, potentially sliding. But, if him pitching takes away from any of his offense, my inclination would be no, because he just seems to amaze us every day. But there is a certain aspect of the wear and tear of, throwing 90 pitches one day and then you're swinging as hard as you can the next day. So I'm curious to see if there is a minor regression in terms of his offensive production, but I mean, we already saw it in Japan. Like, he's pretty darn good. So I think he's gonna have another big year.
Is he going to make your job harder this year, since he's
Yeah, he
going to
already
be added
did.
to our pitching
So
staff?
I do a season preview where you preview, we kind of talk about last year, talk about this year, and then I do kind of notes on each player, kind of talk about their careers, basically just to prepare the broadcasters for the season. And Shohei was basically just another, like, I had to do his hitting and then I had to do his pitching. So it just added another player I had to work on. So yeah, there's going to be the aspect of like preparing for his next start. And then, I have to kind of talk about what he's doing, splits wise and everything he's doing offensively. So yeah, I guess he's an extra, in theory, he's a 27th man we have on our roster.
Wow.
So I have a question about analytics, because I'm a bit old school, and it's hard for me to see like the feel for the game kind of being dismantled a little bit, because my favorite moment from the World Series was Dave Roberts going up to Blake Trinan, punching his chest and getting his feel of, can you continue this game? There's nothing that can teach you in that moment other than how the manager, how the player feels. So how would you talk to someone like me about analytics and to understand the benefit?
I mean, I'm actually kind of with you to some degree, because like for me, pitching wise, like I always look at the third time through the order. And for some pitchers, like the third time through the order, it goes from a 210 batting average against a 300. And there is a drop off, but it's now become just the norm. Like the pitcher goes through twice through the order and they're done. It's like, well, no, maybe they were cruising, or maybe they're pitching really well. Like, why does it have to be that kind of demarcation of, okay, now he's going to run out of gas, or now he's going to get hit hard? So I'd like to see more of a feel there. But I think at the end of the day, like, it's all data driven. So as much as you may not like it, or as much as someone say, no, I'm more old school, it's not like they're making the decisions blindly. They're looking at the data to say, okay, we're going to pinch hit this guy against this lefty because this guy just does not hit lefties well. So like there are numbers, and there is kind of a rhyme or reason to the decisions, whether or not you agree with them in the moment. So I don't always agree with it. I wish there was sometimes more feel to it, but at the end of the day, the organization is falling back on. We can give you tangible evidence and data as to why these decisions are being made.
Actually, I have a follow-up question to that answer. Sure. We talk about changes to baseball. Is there a data-driven thing that we could do to change baseball that would make it better for maybe the old school thing. So an idea that has been floated has been reducing the number of pitchers available to a staff, or the 6-inning rule. I think that was floated by maybe Max Scherzer last year. Is that something, is there a data-driven thing that really you look at that could say, if they make this change, it could drastically change the game and it could make it look a little bit more like what it used to be?
So I don't know if it's a data-driven thing, but I work with John Smoltz Fox, and he throws out some crazy ideas here and there. But one that I actually really like is the idea that obviously everyone has a DH, but as soon as you take your starter out of the game, you lose the DH. So at that point, if you're going to have an opener, he's going to pitch 1 inning, that's great, but now you're going to have your pitcher hitting or going to have to pinch hit for him throughout the game. So the idea, if you want more length from your starters, or if you have guys that can go deeper in the game, that benefits you because now you have your DH. So you have, for the Dodgers specifically, think about it. If you have a starter that can only go 4 innings, that's great, but you lose Ohtani after the 4th inning.
I was like, I don't know if I like
I'm
that.
not- I'm not
a
for
fan.
that.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I know specifically for the Dodgers, it's not a great thing, but like that's
Well, then.
but that's
all
something
we
that could
care
change
about.
the game. Is now we're going to these openers and spot starts and bullpen games. If you want to bring the 6-inning guy, 7-inning guy back into baseball, that's a rule that could have a tangible impact pretty significantly.
Yeah.
The devaluation of starting pitchers, and I know that's been a big talking point for a lot of baseball heads. Is just how do we get value to the starting pitcher?
Exactly, and I mean they're getting hurt. I understand that, and so it's not like the Dodgers wanted to have bullpen games last year. They were kind of hamstrung in those situations, but if you have a guy, like I said, the third time through the order thing, if you're going to pull him just because you don't think he can face the lineup a third time, that's fine. But again, you lose the designated hitter in that spot. So does that change the decision-making process to say, no, we're going to push our guy a little further because Ohtani's up third next inning. Right. We can't pull him in a situation.
And that changes preparation too. That changes how a pitcher prepares for the season. You're not going to do 100% on every pitch like they, in the 90s they talk the Brave staff, the Smoltz staff that they were on. They used to talk about not going to give 100% on every pitch. We're going to do maybe 90% here, 90% there. And they were great at. I mean, obviously that staff was amazing at picking spots and just accuracy. But it just changes so much about how the game is played and how you prepare for the game if you change that rule.
100%. Yeah, that was one of the best staffs ever.
Sounds like a question from not a Dodger fan to me.
I know. Well, Rick, this was so great having you on.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yeah. And maybe we'll have you back one day with Joe, with Orel. Who
I was going to
knows?
say, I bring all my best friends in.
I
We can have
know.
they can have like a tug of war over who it's my affection. Will be great. Yeah.
We'll go to Joe in Orel's broadcasting studio. We can do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
come
maybe
on.
you can show us exactly how you type things up and get things ready for the players.
Come to the booth. You're always welcome.
Ooh, an
I'm gonna hold you
invitation.
to that.
All right, go Dodgers. Talk Dodgers to me.
I know your jersey.
Jersey's coming up, game 3. So we go jumping right in?
We're jumping right
Oh
in.
my
We're
God, I'm nervous. There's a camera there, guys.
And we're back at our favorite place, Legends Attic in Claremont, with Dodger legend himself, Orel Hershiser.
How many of these have I done?
I think this might be your 5th.
Okay, I'm stopping now.
But you're first with me.
Congratulations, rookie.
Thank you.
This is awesome. Are we hazing her?
No, we don't do that on our show.
Whoa. Orel, you said you're coming on for episode 55, which is like
I'll do 55, 59, 67, and 1988.
1988. If we're still going to 1988, then we'll
We'll see if we can still do it.
I can't wait to see where we're at that point,
This has been upgraded completely when Adam has a microphone.
right? You should have heard him talking to
Voice
Rick
of
before.
God over there.
we're going for it. We're just going for it.
I know why you're stuttering. You haven't slept yet, getting back from Japan.
I have to apologize. We are a little tired, Orel. We got back yesterday from Tokyo, and I think all of us have been up since about 3:30.
Yeah.
But I'm on cloud 9 being back here at Legends Attic.
It does bring some energy. It's amazing to see all the people and how they just smile, and just being around the place. So, yeah.
What'd you think? What'd you think of our opening series in Tokyo?
We're going to go 162-0.
Wow.
Did you wake up and watch?
Not at 3. So I set my alarm for 2:50 the first night or day, whatever we're going to call it. and woke up at 2:50 and said, no, I think I'll watch it when it comes on at 8. So on Spectrum, the first replay was on at 8. So that's when I watched it both days at 8 o'clock. So it's good.
Acceptable.
You know, you did breakfast at Wimbledon, so we did breakfast and coffee with the Dodgers. So it's kind of fun.
That sounds like a dream.
Have you been to Tokyo?
I have. I've been twice. Went on the 88 All-Star Tour after the 88 season. And then we also, when Ohtani, we scouted. They took me on the scouting trip. Wow. The Dodgers wanted to make sure that they knew that Ohtani knew that the Dodgers were there watching him. So they took the face.
Wow.
So, you know, because if just the scouts go, they don't, are they Dodger scouts? I don't know. So they took me, which caused some PR and articles and everything, and of us standing there watching him during BP, watching him throw his side work. You know, when I saw him throw in Japan, it was everybody kind of knew he was probably going to end up with elbow surgery. So he threw a light side work, and I watched it, and it was still one of the best sliders I've ever seen. I'm like, oh my gosh, if that's what he can do with a bad elbow, I can't imagine what he's going to do with a good elbow.
So you're really excited for this season to see him pitch?
Yeah, I think he's been ready since last playoffs. I think they're just slowing him down so they can judge the amount of innings and the amount of work they want to give him so it times up with the playoffs. So
That makes sense. I mean, you are pretty famous over there because our last stop before we headed home yesterday was the baseball museum. And we walked down the stairs, and there's our friend Orel Hershiser's jersey signed.
I wish I could have made the trip, though, because Tokyo was so, I'm sure you guys had some great food. Oh, yeah. I mean, the culture, how clean it is there. I've only been to one cleaner city, and that one I got a kind of an odd vibe, but in Dubai, it seemed a little cleaner. But Tokyo's like the cleanest city in the world. It actually has a great vibe.
I mean, it blew our mind. I don't think we could stop talking about it. Like the restrooms, like the toilets, like everything.
What a great topic. Anything else you want to bring up from your great trip to Tokyo?
Like, we would be
you know what? I just love those toilets.
I mean,
everyone kept
remember we're recording.
Only women would bring up the toilets in Tokyo are amazing.
But even like the bathrooms outside
Adam,
of the
help
parks.
me, Adam, help me.
The heated seats. I just got to say, I'm going to keep it going. Toilets are great.
Yeah, the push button. Do you want the full flush or the half flush? Do you want the warm seat? Do you want the turbojet or you want do you want
I mean, coming back to regular old toilets is
oh my gosh,
not that
it's
great.
the worst, yes.
But I mean, I feel closer to Shohei now, so I can only imagine what our team feels after experiencing Japan through Shohei's eyes. I mean, he is everywhere. How do you think the team chemistry is now after they just took that trip together?
I would think that it's just another level of understanding all the Japanese players and where they came from, how much they are loved, the passion for baseball, why they all have such great manners, why they're all such great teammates, why they all have such great work ethic, just to think about observing the culture and then saying, oh, yes, now I see it. That was the education for me going over there, watching the work ethic of the opposing team back in the 80s, watching them take BP, watch the use of the field and where they put the cages and where they put the soft toss and how often and how long the pitchers throw. It's fun to just see another nation, another culture play the same exact sport and love it just as much as you.
I mean, even as fans watching it, I can't even express, I don't even know if I found words yet to express how I felt in that moment of the first pitch and the silence and to hear, the ball hit the mitt. It just was like chilling. And then to hear it off the bat, it was just like, it was almost as emotional as the Sandlot last scene.
Yeah, in a great comparison to like the year before, we go to Korea. And so Korea, you got the thunder sticks and you got all the chanting. And here you've got like in Japan, you've got all the songs for each guy. So it's just fun to see how it all comes together. And, I'm not a big fan of Japanese music. So the pre-stuff, you just have to say, okay, that's the culture, that's what's going on. But I would have rather had some rock and roll.
Well, we did learn how to say "Go Dodgers" in Japanese.
How's that?
Gonbare dojaju.
Oh, wow. You know how to say Coca-Cola in Japanese?
Coca-Cola.
Exactly. Very good.
But we were saying that to everybody. And the coolest thing was every time we talked about the podcast and that we were there for the Dodgers, every single person, Shohei Ohtani?
Yeah, and Yamamoto and Sasaki and all the guys, they are just, it used to be like, what about 15, 20 years ago, you would say, I wonder if this guy's going to be good enough when he gets here. It's like the scouts were like, he's really good, but now they've got the data, they've got the eyes, they've got, the guys that have come before them, all the way back, you can go to Ichiro or even go back farther, but there's no question that once they're really good in Japan, that they can play in the big leagues.
What'd you think about Roki's first outing?
I thought it was fantastic, and I'm not going to pick a fight, but I think he's throwing a forkball. I don't think he's throwing a split finger. For me, a split finger fastball originated by just barely splitting your fingers, and the pads of your fingers were still kind of on the ball. But when you start to use the sides of your fingers, that's kind of more the definition of a forkball. And for him to knock off 1,000, whatever it is, RPMs in the rotation, and nobody else, no other world-class athlete can take that much spin off the ball, it's got to be a different pitch. I mean, people should be able to get close to that pitch, but it's completely different. And the amazing thing that he doesn't know where it's going. It could go left, it could go right, it goes straight down. And they say it acts like a knuckleball. That's, less spin, of course. Knuckleball is coming in. Tom Candiotti, Charlie Huff, the knuckleballers that I know and I'm close to, they would tell you, 1.5 rotations would be a really good one, but you get past 2 rotations of the ball on a knuckleball and it's going to end up pretty straight and it's going to get hit. So this ball coming in, it's got a lot of cowhide that is in front of it and is having the air then deflect the ball, because seams break the air and make it go straight. The cowhide makes the air in front of the ball heavier and makes it deflect. So when you put less spin on a ball, you're putting more cowhide, less seams breaking the air, so you're creating more movement.
Isn't it amazing to just sit here listening to
Pitching masterclass right there.
I seriously am like forgetting that we're doing a podcast and I'm just listening.
I'm like, maybe I should just.
So think, but think about it.
Now I want to try.
I know. Now I want to try it.
Well, golf ball companies are always trying to design the dimple pattern, right? So it flies straighter. This one goes straighter. This one has more spin. This one is better for control. This one's better for distance. Same thing on a baseball. You're trying to get those seams in a certain place or get the cowhide in a certain place. And that's why when people go, what's your grip on this pitch? I'm like, the grip might be one thing, but it's your arm angle, it's your hand discipline, it's your release. It's all the different things that everybody, all the little kids, 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 16-year-old, college kids, young pros, they're like, what's your grip? It's like, my grip might not work for you, because there are so many other variables. Now, once you can make a delivery, once you can have the right arm angle for you, once you can have the correct hand discipline on every pitch, now we can start adjusting the treble and the bass. But all this is the volume and the power. And now we're going to use it as an equalizer to really change the sound of this ball as it leaves your hand.
Oh my gosh. Well, as we're here for the Kirby Yates event,
I'm about to go say goodbye to him. He's about 10 minutes from leaving, and I want to be a good host and be out there. So it's been fun visiting with you guys.
It has.
And congratulations, Ricky.
Thank you.
Goodness, I look forward to a very good future with you and now with you. Oh my God, this is amazing. Adam, I hope you can hang in there for 1,988 of them. So
We'll see you on 19.
We'll see you then.
And as
Eddie's
Orel
wanting
leaves,
some love. Eddie needs some love.
Eddie Alazadeh, because you have to say it that way, because his wife, Leslie, will get mad if you don't say it correctly. Leslie, I love your husband, and I call it Alizada. Sorry.
well, as Orel leaves, we'll tell you guys about some fun stuff going on at Legends Attic coming up.
Okay. Do you want to
And
scoot
we'll see you
over to
then.
this chair? And is it what's
Adam's
what's
gotta
the
do his
shot?
thing
I can
now.
just leave, Adam.
We're just gonna cut.
All right, we're done.
And cut.
Bye.
Perfect. Love it.
Talk Dodgers to me. Well, I know one thing we're going to do is be here at every event they host. Today has been awesome. And actually, this coming Friday, we'll be here for the Joe Kelly event and way more events to come. So stay tuned, follow along, and make sure you're subscribing and following to Talk Dodgers to Me on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.
Talk Dodgers to me.